All right, what's up everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. It's a beautiful night in New York. It's quite cool. I think it's only about 67 degrees out. And happy Friday to everybody. We'll get started here in a moment. You know, there's such an awesome backdrop with the clouds tonight that I think we should probably start off the live stream by going into Central Park. Maybe go into one of my favorite spots where you're gonna have an unbelievable view of New York City's Billionaires Row. We're currently reporting live from Central Park South and 5th Avenue. It's pretty busy. If you look all the way down by the Trump Tower, there's so many sanitation vehicles. It's just massive, massive busyness tonight. NYPD cruisers, Department of Homeland Security, all by the Trump Tower. And it appears they have most things barricaded off. Maybe we'll try to squeeze through the fence here. There's probably a lot of politicians or whatnot in New York City this weekend. It's a pretty cool shot of Central Park Tower, 220 Central Park South, and the Steinway Tower, the skinniest residential apartment building in the world. Tons of NYPD, a lot of black cars here. Guess we'll see who we have in the chat. I see Danny, what's going on? Charles D is here. Alan, always a pleasure. DC322, Lena Sandoval, Ren 1018. Kathleen, what's going on? Danny says Palantir was added to the Charles says Palantir was added to the S&P 500. Yeah, you're right. They were added to the S&P. I think the stock was up like 5% after hours. Should be an interesting one to watch. Now, unrelated, but kind of related at the same time, to the overall general markets, you continue to see this massive decline in Walgreens. Now, there's multiple reasons for that. I just think the brick and mortar drugstore business is going to definitely be a thing of the past. It pretty much already is a thing of the past. But on top of all this retail theft, it's just not even profitable to have these stores open anymore. And Amazon is pretty much going to be like a massive pharmacy. That's pretty much what I'm predicting down the line. I think they already acquired PillPack, and there's probably going to be a lot of competition there, but there's going to be no real reason to go into pharmacies and drugstores anymore. I think that stock is a single digit now. Pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and venture inside the park. You're going to see some incredible views here tonight. Jafet Perez, what's going on? Good to see you. Got a little rat here. Hope you're doing well. And today, semiconductors got hit in a major, major way. If you look at ticker symbol SOXX, massive sell-off today in the stocks. This is a pretty cool view right in between the trees there of the Deutsche Bank Center. But now that we're a little bit further back, you can see the spire of One Vanderbilt. It's a really, really incredible view. Hey Xavier, what's going on? Extreme heat is buying online is way slower than going to a nearby drugstore. Amazon can't compete there. Not only, I disagree. I think they're going to crush and dominate. They've already been crushing and dominating. And depending on where you are, it's actually way faster and more convenient just to order all your stuff off of Amazon with next day delivery than to go into a CVS or a Walgreens, particularly in a major city where everyone steals and ransacks everything. So the deodorant and the toothpaste is locked behind plexiglass. So if you want to buy something, you have to call a customer service agent over, and it takes a lot of time. So that friction for me alone has pretty much caused me to buy everything online and deliver it to my house or deliver it to my office. The only real time where I buy pharmacy stuff in person is when I'm in Miami. I really don't do it anymore in New York, just because it takes too much time. It really does. It's the honest truth. Hey, Haas Manning, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to venture a little bit into Central Park tonight, but it is a beautiful night. It's like 60, maybe 67 degrees. Mohammed Youssef, what's going on? From Egypt, Emma, cheers. So peaceful here. Look at this shot. You have 220 Central Park South and Central Park Tower. But if we go up a little bit more, this is one of my favorite spots in Central Park. So if you want to come here yourself, just go to 5th Avenue, 59th Street, and enter that main area of the park there. It's pretty good. Nice. DC says it took the week off and I'm ready to crush it on Monday. That's always good. It's good to take some time off for sure. Hunter says, where's a good place to rent for a summer internship in the city? I don't know. I mean, most people just usually live with roommates here, particularly summer interns and the like. So I would say, to be quite honest, maybe just look on Craigslist for something. Chances are if you're a summer intern, you're probably looking for something very affordable. So if you can commute from the boroughs, I would just go on Craigslist and rent a room. But if you want something pretty nice, I mean, just depends on where your office is, get something pretty close to the office. Wow, look at this. You have the Deutsche Bank Towers, Trump International Hotel and Tower. .220 Central Park South, Central Park Tower, Essex House, and 157 looks very unique from here as well. I think the Michael Dell's top duplex looks like he's home. Look at how cool that is. We'll go up a little bit more because my favorite spot is still up a little bit more here. Michael says, is it too dangerous to walk in Central Park right now? No, this is like one of the highest, this is pretty expensive neighborhood here. Very, very safe. Central Park is pretty big. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Central Park is massive, okay? It goes from 59th Street Central Park South all the way up to about 110th Street Cathedral Parkway or Central Park North. That's kind of where it gets a little iffy. at night. But generally speaking, Central Park is very safe, even at night. Very, very safe place. All right, guys, check this out. We're officially at my favorite place in Central Park. We're on top of this massive rock. Okay. So we entered here, we walked all the way up the street, and then you enter on this huge rock, and you could walk all the way up and see these pretty amazing views. I would say if you're a tourist and you're visiting Central Park, I would come to this same exact spot during the day, and then come again at sunset, and then come again at night. But look at how amazing that looks. It almost kind of doesn't even look real, and I could almost guarantee that the stream does not do the view justice. Isn't that pretty cool? So right down here is that pickleball, City Pickle, which before you know it's going to be an ice skating rink. So I guess since we're up here, we'll just do a quick synopsis of the Skyline. Just point out everything. So this building right here is 15 Central Park West. That's one of the most desirable buildings in the entire city. It was built in 2008, and it's also nicknamed the Limestone Building. The former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankenfein, has a apartment there. This black building right here, that is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. The address is 1 Central Park West. That's an awesome building. I think the views from that building are even a little bit better than the buildings on Billionaires Row. These two towers right here, that's the former Time Warner Center, currently the Deutsche Bank Center, the Deutsche Bank Towers. Deutsche Bank is a German investment bank that has moved from Wall Street up here, uptown. Now this is the view of Billionaires Row. So the building with the gold top, this one is 220 Central Park South. That was developed by Vornado, and Citadel Securities founder Ken Griffin, I think, owns about $100 million worth of real estate in that building. Moving our way to the left, this massive one and the tallest building on Billionaires Row is Extel's Central Park Tower, 217 West 57th Street. Huge, huge building, very luxurious. Again, the developer is Extel. And then this one right in the middle, this big one, is actually the first building that was ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. The developer is also Extel, Gary Burnett's company, and that is 157 West 57th Street, and it stands at about 1,003 feet tall. Billionaire investor Bill Ackman owns a unit there, as well as billionaire Michael Dell owns the top duplex. This is Steinway Tower, 111 West 57th Street, this really skinny one right here. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. And this one is 53 West 53rd Street. Obviously, it's not on Billionaires Row, but it is a Billionaires Row-esque building. And then last but not least, we'll check out our friends over at 432 Park, which is right there. And that was developed by Harry Mackalow. So pretty cool. What do you guys think? Very unique view. All right, let's go ahead and head down now, and we will go back into Midtown Manhattan. But once again, I would highly, highly recommend anybody who's visiting the city, come to this spot in Central Park and check out the views. Hey, what's up, Joe E? What's up? Haas Manning says you're at 157 today. It's a great building. Molly F, Lemonade. Good to see everyone. I like it when the clouds are kind of scattered like this. Makes a pretty cool backdrop. Someone's asking what hotel would I recommend for someone visiting New York City for the first time. I think it really depends on your budget. I think it really depends on what you're looking to spend. If you let me know kind of what your budget is, like in terms of what you're looking to spend per night, I think I could best advise for sure. This is the Extel new development on the Upper West Side here. I almost kind of wish you could build an apartment building right here so you have this view all the time. But obviously that'll never happen. Central Park is protected, which I think is obviously the right thing to do. Hey, the investigator, what's going on? Good to see ya. All right, let's head back into Midtown Manhattan now. Unit J23. Now, during the day today, the city was pretty busy. Very, very busy. But at night, probably all the people are in the Village, Greenwich Village, West Village, hanging out. I think Fashion Week is soon. It's kind of peaceful. Tom says, what are all these parked cars here? So these are EVs for the New York City Parks Department. And I've honestly never seen them in use. These are all charging stations right here. So the Central Park Conservation, I think it's called. They also utilize them. Texas, I would be looking for under $400 a night, and it does not have to be in Manhattan. I don't know. I mean, I think under $400 you could find, I would say, just one particular hotel really doesn't stand out. Maybe try the Park Lane Hotel. Sometimes you can get rooms for under $400 a night, but there's no like specific hotel that I could think of that I would recommend for under $400 a night. I think honestly you'll be fine anywhere. There's also this newer hotel. It's called the Kipton Theta Hotel, which is on 8th Avenue, surprisingly, that I would recommend anything on 8th Avenue, but that's actually quite a nice hotel. It's very affordable, and the rooms are very big, and it's brand new, right on 8th Avenue. So maybe check that one out. It's pretty close to everything. But if you can get a room at the Park Lane, which is this building right here, right on Central Park South, next to the Plaza Hotel, Maybe check that one out. Because if you're going to be riding around, you could wake up and you're right here in Central Park. You can, ride that, whatever you have, that unicycle or whatever you're saying, for miles in Central Park. So maybe check out those two. There's a lot of expensive hotels in the city that are around, $350 a night that are very old. So I would stick to the newer ones. Hey, everything in Miami, what's up? Good to see you. There's so many police barricades, particularly outside of Trump Tower. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's some big event tomorrow, but lots of security. What's up, Western Mass Dave? New England Crypto, good to see you. Welcome to September. Very volatile times for the market indeed. All right, so we're back on Central Park South. Solo 401, what's up? Always a pleasure. And this is the Grand Army Plaza. They've completely ripped everything out and they're gonna build a brand new plaza. I'm pretty excited to see what it's gonna look like. They have everything roped off with the construction. I think they should be finished in a few months. One more look at 432. Let's head over to Columbus Circle. We'll walk all the way down Central Park South. Now, one thing I'm curious about is when all this scaffolding is going to be taken down outside of the plaza, because it doesn't look like they're doing any work, and this has been up for almost 2 years. It's just fancy scaffolding that's up, and it doesn't look like they're doing any work or repairs. It's quite strange. Matt Dykes, is you excited for Harris? Don't lie. Oh, is that why all the security? Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be in New York? I honestly didn't even know that she was going to be here. But I'm leaving New York tomorrow. I'm going to go to Florida, so I'll be there for the weekend. But if that's the case, if the current Vice President is going to be in New York, then yeah, this weekend is probably going to be... I wouldn't suggest driving in Manhattan this weekend, if that's the case. I wouldn't advise driving in Manhattan at all, period, but someone says, did I fly the lie flat business class to Korea? I did not. Those tickets were around $6,000 to $10,000. And I don't know, my thought process is, even if I had the money, right? Even if I had unlimited money, I don't know if I could justify dropping $10,000 on a flight ticket. To me, it just seems too crazy. Does anybody agree with that? Agree or disagree? $10,000 for just sitting in a plane for 14 hours? I just find that a little bit too ridiculous. So no, I just flew economy. I think I paid $150 extra just for a larger seat and an aisle seat. That was it. Total, I think it was about $1,000 each way. So $2,000 round trip. Maybe with the taxes a little bit more, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. The business class is cool. The seats do lie flat, so it's pretty much like a bed. But do I really want to be spending $9,000, $10,000 on a flight ticket? I don't know. To me, that's a little bit too crazy. sense is not if your company is paying for it. Oh, okay, well, if my company was going to let me drop 10 grand on a flight ticket, then yeah, of course. Now, I used to work for a company that would pay for all my flights, but the requirement is it had to be economy. It's not like you could just go wild and, charter a PJ on the corporate credit card. Like, I would get all my flights covered, but you would have to pick an economy seat. You couldn't get first class, unfortunately. DC 322s has spent $5,000 already on 2 vacations this year. How were the flights? Because, anecdotally speaking, just from my experience, crazy busy and absolutely packed. When I flew to Korea, there was not one seat that was empty, and it was the same thing on the way back. If anything, it looked like the flight was overbooked. This is a pretty interesting shot to Steinway Tower. Everything in Miami says Delta One is $21,000 to Tokyo. That's nuts. That's crazy. Yeah, I think that comes down to a circumstance where even if I had the money, I don't think I could even justify spending that. Emma says Trump is at Trump Tower today. Maybe that explains some of the security. But his son, Barron, is now a student at NYU.
This guy.
And I see the security decal taking him to college every morning to his classes. Dave says, how's the first week back at the office? Not too hectic, I hope. It's not bad. It's honestly not bad. It's just, I think I'm still adjusting to the time zone a little bit. I wouldn't say I have jet lag, but what I would say is usually when it comes time to do the live stream, like around 8:30, 8:40, I'm usually super energetic. But as of late, since I've been back, I am so crazily tired. Once it hits around 8 o'clock at night, I'm just totally shot for the day. Like extremely tired. So I think that'll subside pretty soon. We'll see. Hey, Doc7, good to see you. Everything in Miami, just Republican and liberal college, must be tiring. Well, I think he's at the business school. The business school at NYU seems to be pretty conservative, but, I wonder what that college life is like, being the president's son, going to college. It's obviously probably not a normal experience, right? I wonder how you make friends. I mean, being any, famous kid's son must be, or son or daughter must be quite weird. Because everybody already knows who you are, right? Usually when you go to college, you have to make friends, you have to introduce yourself, but everybody already knows who you are. You're like, oh, that's Barron Trump. I wonder what that experience must be like. Hey, Brad's Brain, what's up? Oh, Brad, speaking of you, your friends just got added to the S&P 500 today. Palantir added to the S&P 500. I think the stock was up like 5% after hours on the addition. So congrats on that. It's good news. Now, if you look all the way in the distance, you'll see that big light in the sky. I believe those are the 9/11 floodlights. We'll have to go down. I think I should be here on September 11th. Today's September 6th. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm actually probably flying back to New York City on the 11th. Oops, let me see one thing. All right, I'll have to disconnect the mic. It's all right, it's not that windy tonight. Hey, Michelle K, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna head down to 34th Street, Penn Station. Today is a 50 basis point cut on the way. Well, I don't want to seem like I'm justifying the poor jobs numbers. Sorry, I'm just trying to shut this off. But not only the poor jobs numbers, we've been getting a pickup in layoffs, so people losing their jobs. However, I actually think that's pretty normal, and we kind of talked about that yesterday. I think you have a twofold scenario going on. Obviously, number one, a cooling economy. But when people say a cooling economy, people think it's Armageddon, right? Every time we have numbers come in a little light, they're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be the worst recession ever. That's just a business cycle. It's just a normal business cycle. You know, the economy goes through periods of where it's really, really taking off and things are super hot. And then you have a cooling. I think this is just a normal cooling coupled with businesses preparing for an election, which is also very normal. Now, depending on which political side of the aisle you know, a business leans, right? I don't care which side, if, you know, they want current Vice President Kamala Harris to win, or if they want former President Trump to win, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody can vote for whoever they want to vote for. But you want to come into those big events very lean and mean. So you trim the fat at organizations, right? You make those cuts now. You raise capital in order to redeploy once things are a little bit clearer, right? Depending on who gets in, you could kind of analyze what different government spending programs there's probably going to be. You can understand where different business segments are probably going to benefit or not benefit. So I think you have kind of that aspect going on. Now, as for the Fed, I believe the next FOMC meeting is next week, or if not next week, the week after. And if you look at the probabilities, if you go to the CME Group's website, so if you type !CME in the chat, I think it's pricing in about a 50% probability of a 25 basis point rate cut at the next Fed meeting. We got the bus stopped in the middle of the what do you call it? The lane here. Malcolm says the U.S. economy is still strong, so I think the Fed will go 25 this month, not 50. And I think what a lot of people also we need to understand is that a 25 basis point rate cut is not really going to do anything in terms of changing the economic environment. It's almost negligible. And usually the effects or the impacts of rate cuts, one way or the other, usually takes about 6 months to 8 months to kind of work its way through. Matt Dykes says, Tom says, pay a lot to illegals. His mind is poisoned. Brad's brain says, I think Jerry's missed on this. Now he's faced with a dilemma. 25 cut will be called not enough. 50 will be viewed as panicky. Maybe. I don't even think the Fed needs to really cut at all. That's my kind of crazy take. But look, if they see fit. Again, I almost agree with Brad on this. It's really optics. Because 25 basis points is not going to really do anything to juice or pick up the economy. But what it will do is it'll send a message that monetary policy going forward will be more accommodative. And I think people, or businesses really, will appreciate that in a way. Particularly if you're in an industry where it's very rate sensitive, like the real estate business. So we'll see. Here we are coming up at Radio City Music Hall. Hey, Howard. Very cool. Well, thank you for your service. Western Mass Dave's, this is my flight early tomorrow. It's not. I got an afternoon flight. So I'm going to try to sleep in tomorrow and get my jet lag all sorted out. I think I should only have one more day of being a little bit tired at night. Lee is here. What's going on, Lee? Let me pull off to one of these benches. I just got to put away my mic real quick. Someone says invest in CDs. Good right now. What do you think? I want to know your thoughts. What are you thinking about that? Well, I'll tell you my thoughts on it. I believe the good news now is if you're a very risk-averse person, let's say if you're retired and you're living on a fixed income or something like that, and you have a few $1,000,000 put away, you have your house paid off, you just kind of want to coast, then yeah, maybe just buying fixed income and just chilling, by all means, right? By all means. That's kind of what I like to call the stay rich business. So if you're retired, you got a few $1,000,000, maybe you're worth like $5 million, you got $5 million liquid, you got the house paid for, then yeah, you could live a more than enough comfortable life just buying T-bills or putting your money in a money market account and you live off that interest.
and you don't want to deal with any of the volatility, I say go for it. Who cares, right? Enjoy life. You don't really have to worry, which is kind of a blessing because we haven't had interest rates that high in quite some time. So it's actually rewarding savers a fair amount right now, which is pretty good. I mean, 4.5% on 5 million is what? A little under $250,000. It's pretty good. I think most Americans, most people could live off of $250,000 a year, more than comfortably without even touching the principal. But then again, on the flip side, if you are in your 20s and you're working and you're in the get-rich business, not the stay-rich business, then I would say, again, I can't give any advice, but the younger you are generally, you want to have less exposure to fixed income. You want to be getting risk on. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to buy stocks, right? But you need to be in the marketplace taking risk, you know, starting businesses if you're young or whatnot, whatever you want to do, the way you can make your capital grow. Because if you have $10,000, you know, and you're just earning, you know, 4.5% on it, it's really not going to move the needle. So I wouldn't really even focus on that. To be honest, I wouldn't focus on, I have $10,000. Should I invest it into a money market or a CD, or should I buy stocks? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter because it's not even going to move the needle. I would spend all of my time and energy focusing on how I could increase the amount of money coming in every month and save so I can have a pool of capital to make concentrated bets to really grow and move the needle, if that makes sense. But I think just reiterating here and kind of to your point, it's really, really good that savers are being rewarded once again, right? I mean, before interest rates were so low that if you put your money in a money market or you bought treasuries, you would be making a negative return after inflation, which is crazy. So now you're not, which is good. All right, this is 46th Street. Professor Dario, good to see you. Happy Friday. Trust you're well. Someone says all fiat currency goes to zero. This is true. That is very, very true. Yeah, Western Mass Dave's is to be young and risky. I mean, if you think about it, you know, if you're 25 or you're, let's say even if you're 35, if you save up a few, let's say if you even saved up $100,000, right? And you want to start a business or something like that with a friend or a family member, and the business doesn't work out and it goes to zero. All right, you lose $100,000, but chances are you learned a lot from it, and you have so much time until retirement that you're making money and it's not going to bankrupt you. But you can't say the same as you get older. So you really kind of have to train your brain to be risk on when you're young. You know, I'm assuming if you think back to when you were, you know, in your 20s, right? If you think back to when you were in your 20s, maybe even in your 30s, and you were so stressed out about spending, you know, a couple $1,000. Now let's say you're in your 40s or 50s, you probably don't even realize, you don't even remember stressing out about those few $1,000s. You know, it doesn't even register with you. So I'd say be very, very risky. Probably take more risk than you should when you're young. Not degenerate risk, right? You don't want to be a degenerate and just say, hey, I have this money, I'm just gonna, you know, gamble it away. No, you want to be, you know, be smart, research something, become very, very good at what you're doing, and then double down and make a concentrated bet in that thing that you specialize, or in an investment that you know a lot about. NAV407, good to see you. Happy Friday. I think we just passed that guy's shadow boxing. I didn't even really realize it at the time. Tracks 101 says I only make $100,000 a year. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money. $100,000 a year is a lot of money, my friend. Most people in America don't make $100,000 a year. It's a lot of money. You should be proud of yourself for that. Ah, famous Steinway and Sons. Beautiful pianos here. Now it's getting a little windy. I gotta charge the battery on my microphone. This is a really cool shot of the Empire State Building, as well as the 9/11 floodlights in the distance. Wow, that's a really, really cool shot. Salesforce Tower. The wind is actually really picking up. We'll check out Bryant Park before they close it. Mike G, good to see you, my friend. Trust you're well. Wow, it's beautiful. Pretty soon, before we know it, the lawn at Bryant Park is going to be gone. And it's going to be the Winter Village. Oh my God, that sucks. I'm really not looking forward to the winter. What about you guys? I know it's technically still summer until the 23rd, right? Is the 23rd the first day of fall? 23rd, 24th, something like that. Someone says the 22nd is the last day of summer. That really sucks. The biggest thing for me is not necessarily the cold. I mean, I don't really like the cold at all, but I don't really mind it either. It's the shorter days where it gets dark out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's depressing. That's kind of what gets me down. We're overlooking the Steven Schwartzman building here. This winter, hopefully, I'll be spending a little bit more time in South Florida. We'll see, but the plan this year is to spend a little more time than I did last year. We'll see. If all goes according to plan, I'd like to spend the entire month of February in South Florida. We'll see. Mark Francis 076 says, yeah, I hate it when it's dark at 5. It's tough, particularly if you work in corporate America and you have to lug yourself to the office. It's dark when you get up, it's dark when you're in the office, and if it's a really busy day, maybe you don't even leave the office, right, until like 5 o'clock. You don't even have time to go out for lunch, and it's pitch black, so you live in darkness. But New York City is nice during the holidays.
You looked it up.
Brad says opening the Florida office in February. That, and I have a few opportunities that I may be put on down there.
Because I wanted to do
Which I wouldn't mind. This is the Bank of China. The Empire State Building is red, white, and blue tonight. I'll have to check that out. Wow, the 9/11 floodlights are coming in great. It always looks better when it's cloudy. Now, you know what else is another crazy thing? The presidential election is in November. Pretty soon, it's pretty much 2 months away. Right before you know it, September is going to be gone. That's going to be wild. Is anybody doing anything fun for the election? I remember the last election, what did I do? I think I went to Made in New York Pizza. I got a huge spicy pepperoni pizza, and I ate it in my apartment and watched the election. It was actually pretty fun. I don't know what we'll do this year. Maybe we'll have to do a live stream in Times Square. If I recall correctly, I think they put the election maps up on the billboards. Like the big billboards in Times Square, and maybe we'll have to live stream that as the results come in. I think that would kind of be pretty cool to see. Someone's asking if I've ever been to Atlanta, Georgia. You know, I haven't, but I would really, really like to. Speaking of pizza, yeah, Western Mass Dave, so I'm putting my hand over my eyes on election night, for sure. But for some reason, it's kind of exciting. Like, I'm not huge into the political stuff. Like, I have my political opinions, but on election night, I do pay attention. Like, that's the one night that I'll really be glued to, I guess you could consider politics, because it's almost like watching sports, right? As the numbers roll in, it's kind of cool. I usually have 3 different browsers open. So like ABC will have their results, CNN will have the results there, Fox News. Now, the pizza place that we just passed was called Artichoke Pizza. Not a big fan, to be honest. Not a big fan at all. But I would say my favorite pizza spot in the city that has multiple locations, it's called Made in New York. They have multiple locations now. One in Midtown. I think we're gonna walk past it. You know what, actually, if we go one more over, if we go to 7th Avenue, we'll walk past it. But my favorite spot is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. That's probably their best. CS is the best pies in Brooklyn. Which spot would you say? Would you say is the best in Brooklyn, New York? I'm trying to think as well. Probably DeFara. That's a hike. That's like, you gotta get on a plane to go there pretty much. All right, Matt Dykes, you're usually a pretty good guy. I don't know what's going on with you tonight, but we're gonna have to get you out of here. I think getting a little bit too crazy. Getting a little bit too crazy there, Matthew Dykes.
Weird, like red.
You seem very pent up. Very pent up tonight. So we'll time you out when you feel a little bit better after your nap. That's strange though, because usually I always see Matt Dykes in the chat. He's usually a sensible guy. He's usually a pretty nice guy. Anyway, this is a pretty cool shot looking up towards Times Square. Ah, here we have it, Made in New York Pizza. I really want to eat pizza right now, but I'm not eating any pizza really anymore. Not that I usually, I would say I eat, what's it called? Like unhealthy? I wouldn't say I eat unhealthy, but I'm trying to eat like super, super healthy now. So no more pizza on the menu for me, at least for the foreseeable future. So this is West 38th Street. So if you're in Midtown and you want to come to this spot that I'm talking about, 38th and 7th. Here we go. They have all the locations right here. So 512 7th Avenue, 421 Amsterdam. That's the one on the Upper West Side. And then they have another one at 421 Amsterdam. Now the one at 421 Amsterdam Avenue is, I think, 72nd Street, right next to the 2 train entrance. I didn't know they had one on Hudson Street. That's all the way down. Hey, Ace Options Trading. It's good to see you. We're in the crazy month of September. Historically, September is the worst month for performance for US stocks. And it appears to be, well, as of now, it appears that that statistic will reign correct. I think the S&P has closed negative every single day of September so far. Sharon James, good to see you. Good evening. Hope you're well. And I got your email, by the way. And we'll see what we could do. I think it'll be pretty interesting. You never know, maybe we could grow it into something pretty sizable. And then maybe we could hire some maybe like a second analyst, like bring on an analyst to do like deep dives into specific companies and stuff like that. But we'll talk about it. Times2, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Did you know the H&M building sign is broken? I did not know it's broken. Is it really broken? I feel like I walked past that building today and it looked fine. Maybe the lights are out? I'm curious now. I may have to walk all the way back. Let me see if I can see it from here. Ah, I can't. H&M building is the one with the blue spire. Well, Times2, you're making me quite curious, but I will not walk all the way back tonight. Maybe on a different night, if I wasn't too tired. Hey, RPT. This looks like a pleasant night. It is quite pleasant. It's a chill Friday night in New York City. Not too hot, not too humid. It's about 67, probably 66 degrees right now. Over. This is the back of Macy's. This gas prices are coming down here in eastern North Carolina. $2.89 a gallon. It's not bad. I wonder what it is in New York. Well, crude oil has gotten crushed, and I think it continues to sell off. Let's check out where crude oil is right now. Wow. Yeah, it is getting crushed. $68 a barrel. Well, that's good news going into the holiday season, the travel season. But that could also kind of be a red flag for the economy. Oftentimes we could use commodities prices as leading indicators. So take that with you what you will. What do you guys think of the Empire tonight? Incredible view. Wow, Leda says I'm still paying $4.50 at Costco in California. I don't understand what it is about the state of California. It's too crazy there. There's no way, there's no reason why gas should be $4.50 right now when crude is under $90. I think you guys have an extra gas tax or something like that. Travel BC says I pay $5.50 at the pump. Is that a liter? I'm assuming. Hey, Dirk says you pay $3.65 in Florida. That even seems quite a little high, doesn't it? Wouldn't you say that $3.65 seems a little bit high? Mark Francis says I hardly drive, so I don't even check the price. Makes sense. Dave says $3.19. That sounds more reasonable. Like a $3.19, maybe $2.99 in the Northeast. That seems pretty reasonable priced. Yeah, Joe Driver $3.09 in Connecticut. Maybe it's just the West Coast people that are getting gouged. It's funny because, you know, they talk about the reason why inflation is so high is because of corporate price gouging. But it's actually kind of the opposite. It's actually government gouging. The reason why Cali gas is so expensive is because of all the extra taxes. I think for the year this year, my tax bill is going to be just absolutely ridiculous. Mainly because of the property taxes. I mean, property taxes, because valuations have gone up so much, that property taxes have gone up so much. So it's actually, you know, if you're going to buy a house, right, you actually don't want the values to go up like a year or two after you buy your house. You don't want that at all. You may feel good on paper, but if anything, right after you buy your house, it's probably more advantageous for the prices to go down. Not a lot of people think about that. But if you buy a house, right, and if you're gonna stay there for 10 years, let's say, you know, you find a house, you wanna raise your kids there, and you're like, I'm probably gonna stay there for 10 years. You actually almost want, during that time that you own it, probably the first 5 years, house prices to come down, because you're not going to garner any of the value as your asset goes up unless you pull the equity out. You're just going to have higher overhead costs because your taxes are going to go up and your insurance is going to go up. So why essentially pay higher taxes for nothing with no benefit? Something to think about. Obviously nobody can control prices, but if you buy a house and the price of your house maybe doubles in 2 to 3 years, that's probably very negative for you, because your property tax bill is probably going to go up 25, 30%, maybe even double too. I think if something like that happens, where you buy and some crazy thing happens in the economy where the valuation of your house almost doubles, maybe you should think about ringing the register and selling that, then renting somewhere, waiting for things to cool off, and then redeploy that capital. Someone says it most definitely is. I have been struggling with this exact issue. Escrow keeps going up and up and up. Yeah, it's wild. Now, here's a really strange scenario, right? Imagine if, someone could, afford their house, right? But their property tax bill has gone up by 100%, and that's the only variable that could potentially have to force them to liquidate their asset. I think that is rather crazy. I think that is rather crazy. Now, it probably doesn't happen in a lot of cases, but it may happen in some cases. I mean, we could 100% say it happens sometimes, but I think there needs to be some sort of cap on that. Because let's say if you own the house, right? And the market goes crazy for 5 years. You pay ridiculously high property taxes for 5 years, and then the bottom falls out of the market. Yeah, your tax bill is going to be lower, but you've essentially just paid for the 5 years for nothing. Obviously not nothing. I'm just trying to make the point. But it's kind of wild. Yeah, the LT process tax valuation assessments are so off in many cases in this market. Michael G. Tom, are you familiar with capital gains taxes on mutual funds? Why do some funds have capital gains income every 6 months? It depends on what they're buying or selling. So you could have a short-term capital gain or a long-term capital gain depending on if the mutual fund manager bought something and then blew out the position or sold it before you would reach the time where you would qualify for long-term capital gains as opposed to short-term capital gains. But more specifically, I would ask your CPA, because I'm not a CPA. I can't give tax advice. But you pay a different tax bracket depending on how long you've held that security, which, by the way, is one of the main reasons why I kind of always hammer on the fact that, if you're just buying and selling stocks, every 3 to 4 months, you're just going to run yourself a big tax bill. You really want to try to find great companies and build massive positions in them over long periods of time, right? A good company that's growing its earnings, growing its revenue, is expanding its margins, and you really just want to sit with that and hold it. Because when you do sell it, assuming it's not in a tax-advantaged account, like an IRA or 401k or something like that, you're gonna have to pay taxes. And you'd rather pay the long-term capital gains than the short-term capital gains. Let's make a right and head to Hudson Yards. Now, kind of talking back about the property tax thing. Most times, right, and that's kind of why we've seen rents go up. Obviously, rents are determined on supply and demand, right? That's number one. Rents are always determined on supply and demand. But when property tax bills go up, landlords do look to pass that cost on to the consumer. They do. Not all the times they can, right? Because sometimes if you raise the prices too high, the tenants can no longer afford the rent and they move out. Now you have a big vacancy problem, but you can try to nudge it up ever so slightly. I mean, with my properties, or with my property, the taxes have gone up significantly, and I have been pushing prices. Not a crazy amount, but I have been pushing a little bit. And it seems like the market can still kind of satiate that demand. But I think if I pushed them a little bit higher, I don't think I would get any bookings, honestly. Man, look at this apartment. It's kind of a cool concept. It's like a big loft style. I don't know if I'd ever want to live here though. You live right above a halal place. You're probably gonna get all kinds of rats in these apartments up here. But they are kind of cool. I used to live right down this block, and I moved out within a month. Let's check on the status of the block. It's usually after 11 p.m. This street is no good. At least it was like that when I was living here. We'll check on the status now. It was really bad a few years ago. This is a pretty cool mural here. Yeah, NBA Elias, Tom, I'm appealing the assessed value of my property. I will file a petition for review of real property valuation. Tax bill is ridiculous. I probably should do the same because mine is just cartoon land. It's just ridiculous. I really should. Just the thing is, I'm lazy, and I'll probably pay someone to do it, but I should. I really should do it. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad, but it's really late night when the goons come out of the woodwork. This was like really bad for heroin here. Tons of open needles. but looks like they've cleaned it up at least some. Looks pretty good. Hey, Sunshine NYC. Yeah, put that on the to-do list. Yeah, another thing. Sometimes I think about, you're so inundated with all these little tasks that it removes your focus away from the important thing, which is, driving more revenue. If I spent all day, fighting, grappling with the government, which I have a lot to grapple and fight with them about on multiple things, that would be in my entire job, is just doing that. Hence why, oftentimes, once you get to a certain point, it's really, really worth it to hire a good legal counsel and CPA, just to do things, just to have them do it for you. That's one other disadvantage, by the way, of the tax system in many ways, because wealthy Americans, they have the resources and the wherewithal and the connections and the money to hire really good accountants, CPAs, and oftentimes if they get audited, many Americans just cave in and pay the bill when, rich individuals, they'll just fight the government tooth and nail, even if they know they're wrong, and they'll do it in perpetuity, and they'll continue on the fight, and they'll drag it out until the government caves and they don't go after them anymore. Someone once made a joke to me. Obviously, it's just a joke. There is a little bit of truth to it, but that when something like you'll pay, the amount of taxes you'll pay will be in accordance to how much you can afford on a legal counsel or a CPA. In other words, the more resources and connections you have, the more you could kind of game the tax system in a way. Man, Hudson Yards looks great tonight. Another thing is the credit card companies. I have about a $5,000 charge on one of my cards over a 3-month period, and I gotta fight it. But I have this, I just can't deal with customer service people on the phone. But $5,000 is a lot of money and I gotta do it. Essentially, I got charged twice on bookings for hotels over a 3-month period, like traveling and doing stuff. Because I booked it through my card, right? Booked it through the credit card. But then I got charged when I got to the place. So I have 2 charges. So that's gonna take like 2 days. I have to sit down, I have to prove that no, I paid here. I gotta call both the card and the place that I bought stuff from and say, see, you charged me here, and then they charged me, then they have to communicate, and then they have to go back and forth and this and that and call me back. And I can't deal with that shit. But I have to force myself to do it. So I will do that maybe next week. I will carve out an entire day to do that. How cool does this look? So this is the brand new Moynihan Connector Bridge. Look at that. So this thing right here cost about $50 million to build. But it looks very, very cool. Yeah, Dro says good luck with that, Tom. Patience is key. For sure, for sure. Oh, Wise Alice, bro, just call. I got 3K back. No, I will do it. It's just the thing is, I got to go back in the statements, and this is just me being lazy, right? I'm not trying to get sympathy from anybody. I am a very lazy person when it comes to this stuff. So this is 100% my fault. This is not the credit card company's fault. this is my fault. Because mistakes happen, I'm just being a lazy piece of you-know-what. But I am extremely lazy when it comes to nonsense, like just like on the phone with representatives. I can't do that shit. I'd rather pay someone to do it for me, to my own stubbornness. It's just, I can't deal with them. But I'll do it. I'll carve out a day. I'll do it. I guess that's why people have assistants, right? Assistants do that stuff. D says 5,000 is not something to be lazy about, for sure. Now, I'm not worried about it because obviously they're going to refund the money, right? It's a mistake. Mistakes happen. But it's just, it'll be a day's process. So I've just been putting it off. I'm not worried if I'm going to get the money back or not. That's a guarantee, right? Mistakes happen. It's not a big deal. But it will take an hour. It will take a whole day to rectify it. That's kind of what I've been putting off. I feel like we've had this conversation before about companies with very good customer service. There's a company called 1-800-CONTACTS. I've mentioned it before. But for whatever reason, they've hired the best people in the entire world, I'm convinced. So if you've ever called 1-800-CONTACTS to order something, they are really, really good. Unbelievable people that work there. Can we go this way? I don't even know if we can go this way. All right, we'll do it anyway. But I think every single other place that you have to call customer service for, oh my God, it's like you're gonna have a brain aneurysm. I'd say my limit is if a business screws me out of $500, I'm not gonna fight it with customer service. They could just rip me off for $500. Anything over, I'll have to call them. I can't wait to see what they're going to do here at the Hudson Yards. Now, what's kind of crazy to think about, did anybody see the new renderings for the casino? It looks nice, but I'm not too sure if I'm in favor of the casino in New York City. And when I mean New York City, I mean Manhattan, like the city. I just don't know if that's the appropriate thing to do. But we'll see. Yeah, Adam Luke says AI bots taking over customer service are all the rage. Maybe we could have an AI bot. Well, the future is having your own personal AI bot, right? Fight with the other person's AI bot. So I could tell my AI, I could say, hey, I have a double charge on my credit card. Call American Express's AI and fight with their bot. So it'll be bot on bot wars. Sam says, why did I let them scan the card? They just take like a deposit. And I guess when they closed it out, like when I checked out, they just bang the card again for an entire amount. It does happen a lot. Again, it's not a big deal. Mistakes happen, but it's just, you know. right, here we have the vessel. Hudson Yards is so modern and new, it's awesome. I wish they could pick up the Hudson Yards and drop it in Midtown Manhattan. Because after coming to a place like the Hudson Yards and then going back to Midtown, it just makes Midtown Manhattan seem so dated. This looks like a modern utopia. Wow, Julio says, I used to be a credit card customer service agent. Those are the most pissed off customers I've ever dealt with. Most of the time the customers were right and the card company screwed them. Yeah, fighting anything is just, because you gotta like mentally prepare, and then they transfer you to another person, and then the other person wants you to explain the issue, and then you gotta explain the issue again to them. Now again, I know I'm kind of making it out to seem like, you know, woe is me. I totally understand and realize that it's just my sheer laziness, and that's just my personality with that stuff. It's so mind-numbing to me. I just can't stand it. But that is my fault. I'm not blaming that on anybody else. That's my personal qualm about it. I shouldn't be lazy. I should just do it and not complain about it. But I understand. That's what it is. So I take full responsibility for that. But that is just my personality. Now the good news is the vessel is going to be opening quite soon. And they've installed nets in between. I don't know the exact date that they're going to open it back up though. And now we're overlooking New Jersey. Side yard. Someone says they've disputed fraudulent charges recently. It took 10 seconds on the app. Yeah, fraud. I would actually much rather have fraudulent charges because that's quite obvious, right? Fraudulent charges are obvious and easy. It's when there's like an honest mistake when it's the biggest pain in the ass. As crazy as that sounds, right? Because if it's an honest mistake, it's like, but you did purchase this, but there's an issue and they have to verify things and call you back. If it's just a fraud charge, I mean, I've had tons of fraud on my cards throughout the day. I just go onto the American Express app and just literally press one button, and it's quite obvious that somebody, you know, compromised your account or, you know, somehow got a hold of your number. It's kind of obvious, right? It's like, yes, I did not spend $6,000 on AliExpress products, or I didn't spend, you know, $700 at a Walmart in Kentucky when I'd never been there in my life. It's the honest mistakes where you're in for a little bit of a rock and rumble. You're gonna need to be clanging and banging around with those customer service people, and so I would much rather have a criminal, you know, run up $100,000 in nonsense on my card. Let's actually go inside. We'll check it out. This is probably one of the most beautiful indoor malls in the city, by far. Look at how beautiful it is in here. There is a Uniqlo in here. I think it's on the second floor. We could take a little walk around for sure. There's a lot of high-end stuff in here though. Nothing really that I would buy, but it does look quite pretty and beautiful. Like you have Rolex here. Now Suit Supply, has anyone here ever been to Suit Supply? Anybody bought something from there? Not to be negative, but I think that's the most overpriced stuff. It's like over $1,000 for a suit. It's too expensive there. I know, you can get super nice suits for like 300 bucks. Now the Macy's at Herald Square, that main flagship, I believe it's the 5th floor, maybe the 5th or 6th. They actually have very good suits and they'll tailor them for you. They're very, very good. Bev Vance has once had to hold on to the IRS for over an hour, up to 3rd tier supervisor, all to find out my account was fine. Had to call in late for work that day. Yikes. Wait, you said the IRS? Damn. Now, if I ever got in any hot water with the IRS, I would definitely just have my accountants and CPA deal with that. I do not want to be dealing with them directly. But I actually tend to overpay on the taxes, by the way. So like my CPA will come up with a number. They're like, you know what? You could probably deduct this. You could probably get away with paying this amount in taxes for the quarter. I pay quarterly. He's like, but this number is, you know, you're probably giving up too much. You know, if they ever audited you, you could totally say that this was an expense here, which it really is, but you're kind of like cutting a fine line. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with these people. So I'll pay a little bit over, and then at the end of the year, you know, we could divvy everything up, and if I overpaid, then I'll get back what I need to get back. Lee Oswald's always tip the government. Yeah, right as you check out on the IRS website, please pay your tax bill here. Would you like to add a tip? Yeah, I'll tip 25%. Now, knowing America, I wouldn't be surprised if the IRS actually integrates a tipping page as you submit your tax. I would not be, that honestly would not surprise me, knowing America. That's hilarious. What do you guys think? Not bad, right? They did a fantastic job at the Hudson Yards. The whole development is great, and it's only going to be expanded. NBA Elias is tipping the IRS. It's like tipping the dentist for your tooth, or it's like tipping your landlord. I've heard of that one. They're like, yeah, I'll tip my landlord. It's hilarious. $2,100 a month in rent. Tip them 25% at the end of the year. Or you can only tip 10% if they didn't fix the leaky sink. Something like that. Is the High Line open? I believe it's closed. Let me check. Check the time. Yeah, it's closed. It's almost 11 o'clock. Maybe tomorrow. Actually, not tomorrow. I'm going to be on a flight. But when I come back, I'm glad that you made that comment, because I want to get up on the High Line at least a few more times before the weather starts to get nasty. And before all the leaves and the trees and the greenery starts to die. Because the High Line is quite nice. Ah, they turn the lights off. Or no, it's just the top of the hour. Now the building to our right is 1 Manhattan West. And then you have 2 Manhattan West. Western Mass Dave. It's another good point. That's something else we have to do too. Staten Island Ferry. Awesome view of the Empire. Alright everyone, I think we'll go ahead and end it here. I am quite tired. I've been really feeling the jet lag ever since I came back right around 8 p.m. So I think I'm gonna go to sleep, and I will see you all tomorrow, but I do want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. It is Friday, so have a fantastic Saturday and Sunday. And we will see you probably on Sunday because tomorrow I will be traveling. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Be safe, have fun, enjoy the weather while it's still good. And we'll talk soon. So Mark Francis, I appreciate it. Joseph Hardaway, Muhammad, Professor Daddio, Sunshine NYC, Tatted T, Out and About, Cowslaw, Adam Luke, Dale, Layda, appreciate it. Western Mass Dave, Joe Driver, all of our good moderators. We will see you all very, very soon. Take care.